just all coming into the room, thank you so much for joining me today. We've got Roberta with us. Roberta, if you can say hello.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Okay, lovely. I think everybody is muted. If not, if you can, yeah, I think everybody is actually. We've got quite a few people joining us, which is absolutely fantastic. Louise, are you having problems hearing? I don't know if, can you hear us okay? How's everybody doing? Because can you just give me a thumbs up, because I can't hear you. So if you've got volume, yes? Okay, terrific. Okay, I think Louise is putting a headset in, so that's okay. Hi, everybody. Wow, my goodness, this is absolutely fantastic. Now, just so that you all know, I've got some questions that came through on the, via email. So I just have to explain that I've picked most of them up. I hope I've actually picked most of them up, but just in case, I just want, if I've missed any, because I had a previous webinar to do before this one under the name Health Changes with Jean Schumacher, Gareth Dibbs, and also Dr. Frank Sabatino. We're doing this sort of Q&A health kind of platform thing, which is really quite exciting. So I may have missed some recent emails coming in, but if that's the case, you do know, I hope you know, that you can actually ask questions at the bottom. So if you just mouse over your screen, at the bottom you should see a load of little icons come up. One of those should say chat. So if you can actually click on chat for me. So what we'll do is, obviously we've got my wonderful Wonder Woman Roberta in the room as well, so she's going to be able to pick up any questions. And Roberta, if you can then just, when we come to that part, if you can let me know if there are any questions that I've missed, I will also do my best to address them as well. But I've got a few, let me just admit some more people, and I know, Roberta, you'll be able to admit people as you see them coming in as well. But yeah, gosh, there's a lot of us here today. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for getting involved, everybody. It's absolutely wonderful to see you all. So just to bring you up to speed, as you know, we've had several of the tutorials so far. What I wanted to do was take a break last week just to give you guys a chance to catch up on any, if you had not been able to watch them, because they all do sort of hang together. And, unfortunately in one tutorial, because these topics are so massive, I will inadvertently, I will have referred back. And if you watched so-and-so, you might be thinking, no, I didn't watch that one. So hopefully you've had a chance to catch up. If you haven't, please don't worry, because I'm here to answer any questions anyway. So don't worry about the fact that you might be going over old ground, or if you think, oh gosh, they've probably addressed this in another tutorial. Don't worry, just ask away anyway, because the thing is, what I tend to find, I'm sure you'd have all found this, if you've done any kind of teaching or any kind of situation where you've been standing up and speaking to people, or even if you've been doing these sorts of things during lockdown, you'll know that you can say things quite a few times. And the interesting thing, and the research shows that when we're giving a vocal kind of presentation, people at best walk away with 30% of the information. So please don't feel silly. If you've got a question, please don't ever think, oh, they've probably covered that already. Chances are that we may have done, but a lot of people will not have picked up on it. So please ask away. Yes, I will be sending out the recording, just so that you know, everybody. This is the way we've been doing it. We do the recording, and I was just checking, making sure, yes, it is recording. Okay,
it is.
Great, thanks, Roberta. It records to my computer. What we do is we then top and tail it so that we make it look a bit more professional, insofar as at the end I'll be going, now where's the off button? So, we cut that bit out just so it looks a bit more slick. So yes, there is a recording available, and the way that you get it is you sign up for the CMA newsletter if you haven't signed up already. So the way to do that is to go to the CMA website. At the very top of the website, there's a little bit that says, click here to sign up for the CMA newsletter. So that comes out every Wednesday, unless there's any really bizarre reason that we have to hold it back. As you know, with the CMA newsletter, what we do with that is we aim to bring you the absolute latest, most bang up-to-date research in all areas of health and well-being, of course, obviously, particularly complementary medicine. But if there is something in conventional medicine or a scientific breakthrough that somehow obliquely relates to our field, then we will include that as well. Now, the way that we source our news stories is that we actually have databases of news stories that sometimes the universities that put them out will embargo those news stories. So if there's something really huge happening and it's an embargoed story, so you're not allowed to actually discuss the findings until, let's say, the Thursday or the Friday that week, we may occasionally hold the newsletter back. But generally speaking, it will actually tend to come out at 11 a.m. every Wednesday. So that's how you'll get the links to these videos. So they're always in there. If you miss the newsletter, or if some bizarre reason you're not getting it, first of all, let us know. The second thing, though, is that we have the CMA YouTube channel. So if you check on that, you'll always find these videos there. Now, the way to make sure you never miss a video is that you subscribe to the channel. When you go to the CMA YouTube channel, the way to find the CMA YouTube channel is you go to YouTube, you search on the term Complementary Medical Association. Remember to spell complementary, right? Because otherwise, if you put in complementary with an I, you're going to get a completely different set of videos coming up. Don't know what you get, but it won't be us. So Complementary Medical Association. That'll take you, you'll find our channel that way. There's a little red subscribe button. Hit the red subscribe button. Very important you do that. Doesn't cost you any money to do that. It just means that you're subscribed to the channel. And then there's a little bell icon that comes up. If you click the bell icon, it will give you the ability to have notifications every time we upload a new video. So you don't need to have FOMO, no fear of missing out. This is the way that you'll make sure that you get all the videos, okay? And that's where we store them. So you can always refer back to them. So I just want to say, so we've covered, so far in these tutorials, we first of all covered creating online courses because we wanted to give you something to do to pivot during COVID-19 so that even if you're a body worker, you'll have a way of spotting elements of your skill set that you can actually pivot to take online so that you can still serve your client base and still be front and center of their minds for when we come out of the COVID-19 situation. Now, obviously, we are starting to emerge, and we've had a heck of a lot of questions about that, which I will address in a little bit. So then the next video we had was on branding. And then the next one we had was the psychoneurology of creating your brand. We were looking at advertising and so on. Then we were looking the week before last at creating your avatar, essentially identifying the qualities in your ideal client. Very, very important to do that. And another video that we probably should cover, if there's enough interest, is actually identifying your niche. Really drilling down to clarify your niche because that is absolutely crucial for you to be able to do that. And I do actually have a question on avatars and niches coming up in just a moment. So without further ado, a couple of announcements. One is that we are liaising and have just pretty much finished our liaison with a secondary insurance company. We're not getting rid of Balens because we've worked with them for many, many years. as an exercise within the Complementary Medical Association, what we do is every year we do scour the insurance companies just to make sure that our current insurer is still offering the very, very best deal for our members. Obviously, insurance is a very competitive arena, but we have found year in, year out that Valence have been the company that offers the most comprehensive package with a very, very good coverage. So, you know, several million coverage. But there has been a little gap, and Valence, because of who, it's not their fault, it's their underwriters, will not cover people who have done distance learning courses. And this is a real problem for us here in the Complementary Medical Association, because we do recognize a lot of distance learning courses. And this is particularly relevant, of course, at the time of COVID, because you know, we realize that the world is changing and that distance learning is a very important part of the learning sector. Now, a lot of people in the past have thought, yeah, distance learning, it's a little bit like, you know, Johnny come lately, a bit of a Me Too thing, and, you know, it's a little bit, you know, perhaps a bit iffy. It's really, truly not the case at all. Distance learning is valid. Look at the Open University, for example. They were really the pioneers of distance learning. So they made higher education accessible to everybody who had a will to learn. So they were kind of the shining light, showing that no, actually distance learning is not a second cousin to you know, attendance modules. My MSc, for example, that I did at University of Central Lancashire, that was all online. We had the option to attend if we wanted to, but most of our cohort in my group, it was a Master of Science in Homeopathic Medicine, and we had a lot of really eminent people on our course. We had a couple of surgeons, one from Egypt, one from Sweden. They couldn't just up sticks and suddenly come and just, you know, they were also homeopaths as well, of course. You know, you can't just go and do a master's just because you happen to be a surgeon, obviously. But, you know, they were, can you believe, surgeons who had a massive interest in homeopathy. Very interesting. Not something you'd necessarily find here in the UK, but you certainly find it overseas, much more so. So, you know, these are people with big, big careers who couldn't just up sticks. And so this is, you know, explaining this to show how distance learning has turned a corner. So to, you know, the CMA, just to explain our position on distance learning courses, we believe that you can quite happily do a distance learning course to add to your skill set. For example, if there is a theoretical thing that you want to learn to add to your current skill set. Let's say you are a massage therapist and you would love to learn about the theory of bringing essential oils into your massage practice. Then theoretically you can learn about those oils and actually learn, you know, do that learning process very, very well online, for example. So when we're talking about adding skill sets, adding skills to our current toolbox, then that can be done very, very well. However, there are colleges out there who are offering, let's say, hands-on therapies as a initial training, let's say offering a massage course online. Well, you and I and everybody else isn't going to go to a practitioner who's only studied massage in theory and been qualified in theory. So we need our online bodywork trainers to ensure, yes, they offer the theory online, but then they need to ensure and adhere to the fact that we need to see a face-to-face component of that course. So I hope that clarifies where we're coming from. So if any of you are looking at setting up training courses, and I know a lot of you probably are, then bear in mind that if you're offering bodywork training that is not just theoretical, then you will need to add face-to-face. Obviously, when things have opened up, you will need to offer a face-to-face element. Okay, I hope that clarifies things for you. So I've got some questions coming up. Grace says, I would have thought it relates to hands-on training where it does not have any hands-on experience as part of the training. Oh, I've just clarified it. Cheers, Grace, thanks. Okay, that's really, really helpful. Okay, lovely. So what else? That's new insurers. So what I wanted to say was watch this space, because we're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's on that. And next week we will actually be putting their details up for you if you are in that boat where you need that kind of insurance. And I know certainly, I know Hazel's in the room, and we've discussed this because Hazel has a very specific, very specific discipline that she works with that actually nobody else has ever really done before. So Hazel, that's something that you and I have been discussing in our WhatsApp messages back and forth. So I hope your little heart is singing right now. Give me a thumbs up in the box if that's working for you. Right, okay, my dears. So let's have a little, I'm working on 2 computers here. I feel very professional. Feels like I'm the IT kid. Right, okay, so something that keeps coming up is on the topic of avatars and niches. So I will do something on niches for you. But the question came up after the discussion on avatars that we did a couple of weeks ago. And that was, can I have more than one avatar? And the answer is, of course you can. Some people left the session perhaps thinking that we just have to create this one ideal client, this one imaginary ideal client, or based on a model of somebody that you know really, really well, which is how I develop my avatars, because I tend to find that I know people who would be my dream client, the person I would love to work with. But you know, if I was offering different, if I was appealing or trying to appeal to different environments or different niches, I would actually spend time to create more than one avatar. So for example, if I'd identified a niche of, let's say, I wanted to teach, these are not my disciplines, by the way, it's all theoretical, but if I wanted to teach baby massage to new mums, then clearly that's one particular niche. But let's say also, by the same token, a total contrast, I had somehow managed to find a niche of ruggerbuggers, weekend warriors, guys that play rugby at the weekend who get injuries and need sports homeopathy, very specifically for sports injuries. That's a really, really tight niche, isn't it? But it's a very good one. And word gets around in that sort of situation. So clearly, I need to create my messaging with that emotional engagement for both of those 2 different groups. So in those 2 cases, I would need 2 very different avatars. So yes, the answer is you can have more than one avatar. And I certainly would also think about creating either 2 different websites or a split website, whereby you've got a landing page that people can, you know, land on, and then you could actually direct one group of people one direction and one group of people, the other group of people, to the other direction. We see that, for example, do you remember I gave that example of Audi and how they've got different cars in their stable? So you go to the Audi landing page and then you'll go to the R8, you'll click on the R8 link, and that will take you to an entirely different set of pages to the Audi SUV type page, which again drives people to a different part of the site. So I hope that helps to just clarify those questions, because that was coming up quite a bit. Now, let me just have a little look. And all right, Andrew says, I'm doing a diploma by FIFA and it covers everything from anatomy to pitch side. That's fantastic, Andrew. Is that an online training that you're doing? I presume now, obviously it must be. I don't know whether you did it pre-COVID or whether you're doing it now, but that sounds like quite theoretical stuff that you could quite happily do online as well. Andrew, yes? Carry on.
The course was given to me by my football club, but I do private clients as well. So I have 2 sides to my business. I have like my day work and then my private work. But basically, it was a good idea from our assistant sports therapist in the medical department, who said to us, look, get cracking with this, because there were so many fields, like, you know, going from like eccentric stretches to sort of like torn hamstrings, and then sort of like further down the course, it's got I could see further on, it's like going into pitch side stuff, pitch side care and stuff. And, you know, so for time consuming, it was fantastic during the real peak of the, you know, the problems. And but the big problem is, I find, is that don't overdo it.
Yes.
My big thing, because I suffered a bit of burnout from it, and I was trying to crave in too much, doing marketing stuff, doing other bits and pieces and that, and Zoom meetings and all sorts. And we're not really geared up for that, really, as therapists. We're like, you know, when do we ever in a million years get to do this? This is a one-off chance that everyone can have. The first thing I did was I got all my finances sorted out. So I got the universal credit, I got the self-employed scheme going, and then in my head, I was good to go with everything that was thrown at me.
Absolutely fantastic. Yes, thank you so much for that. That's really helpful. And actually, that's something. In fact, we're going to skip ahead in the questions. Andrew, thank you very, very much. That's really, really important and very helpful indeed. So what I was going to say was, let's just have a little look. One of our members is an acupuncturist. He's got a shop. He's been able to get a small business grant of £10,000, which is very, very helpful to him, he says. He was saying, but he was asking the question, actually, very weirdly, this is not available for chiropractors or osteopaths. He was saying, is it because they're regulated by a different system? Actually, no, what it is that chiropractors and osteopaths haven't actually needed to close. They've remained open, but with very strict guidelines. So that's one of the, that is one of the interesting issues that we've actually found. So it's quite an interesting, it's actually quite an interesting set of situations at the moment. Right, okay, so let's move on quickly, because I don't want to keep you for ages like I have done on some of these tutorials. Right, okay, so yes, obviously we've had a ton of questions about returning to work during COVID. Obviously, the first thing I have to say is, you know, there are government guidelines, and one of the things I wanted to do, I think this should actually work. Yes, there we go. I've just put a link for you all in the chat. That is the page to keep referring back to. That's the Health and Safety Executive .gov.uk Working Safely Guide. So that's the one that you actually need to keep an eye on. So that was sent through. I think it might have been by Debbie Gannon. So thank you very, very much for that. That's really helpful. There was the massage parlor debacle. We could not believe it. We were actually sent something by one of our members saying, is this true that we masseurs can go back, we massage practitioners can go back to practicing? And we thought, no, we haven't heard that. And she sent through that link. And there we were looking at it, and I wish to goodness I'd taken a screenshot, but I didn't think of it because I just was, well, that's weird. What, you know, the wording was so peculiar. It was osteopaths, chiropractors, and massage parlors, which absolutely, I mean, crazy. You know, the wording is so wrong. And we just were thinking, well, you know, clearly the government's got their knickers in a twist at this point, and we just think that they made a huge gaffe. They very quickly, because we and a couple of other organisations, we queried it. We said, do you really mean that? And they basically flipped it back over to "Thou shalt not open" into that group there. So so that was that. Now I just let's have a little look. Well, what Andrew's showing something there. I don't know if can anybody see Andrew's screen?
This is the actual piece that the government said that the gaffe.
That's right. Yes, yes. Is it actually there saying massage parlours, Andrew? I think it's moved.
All right. Yes, car parks.
Yeah, they've moved it. Don't worry, they have actually moved it. Yeah. Okay. So Yeah, so the answer is, people keep saying to us, you know, when can we go back to work? And different disciplines, people from different disciplines are saying, when can we actually go back to work? Well, you know, the thing is that the issue is that we have no more information than you do. Really, our best advice is to keep an eye on that link, okay? And also to keep an eye on Balen's homepage. We've sent you their link in the latest CMA newsletter, so keep an eye on that as well. They too are doing their level best to actually ascertain, you know, what is going on. Please remember that the government are as confused as everybody else. You know, nobody has a crystal ball. So the thing is that we simply cannot preempt the government's position. We don't know. We just have to keep an eye on their latest, you know, their latest offerings. I'm afraid that is the best that we can do at the moment. We will not advise you to go against the government guidelines, because our concern is that if you did that and there was an issue, it could be, let's say somebody pointed a finger at you and said, I caught COVID-19 from this person when they opened up, and they weren't allowed to do so. That's point one. The second thing is, what if there was just a regular sort of public liability issue? They tripped on your step, and they're pointing fingers and saying, this person, I went to see them and they opened up and they treated me and I fell on their step and they weren't supposed to be open. There is no insurance company on the face of the planet that will support you and cover you in that situation. So please bear that in mind. It is an insurance liability issue. So that's very, very important. Now, the other question though, the other part of that picture is, can you open up online? And that's why we were talking about doing courses online and pivoting during COVID. What can you offer to keep yourself front and center, in offering things that you can perhaps charge for to keep your business going, or to offer really helpful things that will keep you going during COVID-19, as far as being the source of information from your client base, okay? That is really important. Remember that your clients are looking to you to provide them with support. Things are getting tough now. Although we've got less lockdown is easing a bit, there is still a huge issue from a mental health perspective. So please be there for your clients. If you've not been making contact with your clients, please do so. If it's a case of picking up the phone and just checking in with them and saying, hi, how are you doing? You've been on my mind. That's one thing that you can do quite legitimately. Another thing to do is to pop them an email or pop them a text, just to say, look, I'm here. I am planning to open up, or if you are able to offer things online or distance-wise, just remind them that you are there for support. Now is not the time to just sit back. I really, really want to emphasize that. Okay, so that's that. Question from Grace. Grace says, I think when all of this started, most of us were in a state of panic and shock. Yes, I think we were. And I think some people are still in this state. Absolutely, Grace. I was doing too much at the start, so many Zoom calls, webinars and Facebook groups. Now I'm in a calmer state and looking at what I can do to still help clients until we're able to do hands-on work again, i.e. working online with clients. Absolutely. Andrew's been in touch with the FHT. They said he can teach online therapy, movements and nutrition. Absolutely. If it's in your wheelhouse, guys, this is really important. Please make sure, and this is CMA guidance, if you are doing anything and you're offering anything online, make sure that it's within your practice remit, that you are qualified to offer that information, and in fact that you are insured to offer that information. Okay, don't suddenly, and I don't think any of you would, but you know, you see this kind of thing online, don't you? It's like a little bit like when, to pick something really bizarre, okay, a really bizarre example is that, you know, somebody says, oh, they're in a Facebook group. Somebody says, oh, I'm thinking of becoming vegan. And everybody else suddenly becomes a nutritionist and says, oh, no, you can't do that. Where will you get your protein from? You know, a lot of people, inadvertently, because they're trying to help people, will sometimes step outside their sphere of expertise. It's very easy to do, but you know what they say, a little knowledge is a very dangerous thing. So CMA guidance, please always come back to CMA guidance, because, you know, we are constantly checking and you know, working very, very closely with the government and the insurers to make sure that we're giving you the right information. Okay, right, so let's have a little look. Right, okay, let me see. Okay, yes, we had somebody saying, I have a treatment room at home. I'm a bit concerned about bringing clients into my home. When are we allowed to open up again? And will we be expected to wear gloves and masks? Again, we don't know. So, you know, again, we don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately, wish we did. But, you know, we simply don't know what government guidance is going to be. So sorry to bang on about this. But I just wanted to check anything else. Let's just see, does anybody... Oh yes, another question. Actually, this is quite relevant to so many of us in this group. Does the coming back to work in therapies under government backing include remote or distant healing? The person who wrote in with this question was, I was curious to know if anybody was doing this kind of healing and if it would be covered by insurance or not without the government saying so. Well, yes, I personally, now, okay, I'm not a lawyer, so I would say, if in doubt, ask your insurer. But, you know, when you think about it, distance healing and remote healing and things like that, if you are insured to do that, if you are qualified to do that, well, clearly, I don't think you're flouting government guidelines by continuing to do that. I think it would be a very difficult thing for anybody to argue against that. But if in doubt, check with your insurers, please. Right, okay, let's just have another little look. Right. Oh yes, and another question goes back to insurance companies. Are there any insurers that will insure online Reiki courses and distance attunements? Yes. The answer to that is absolutely. This is the company that we are bringing in as our secondary insurance company that we will launch for you and give you all the information for. If that's something that will be relevant for you, we'll be doing that in the coming week. Okay, so more questions coming up on the side there. Right, okay, I've been doing distance healing and I'm covered for this, and it's very important at this time for my clients. So pleased you're able to do this. Absolutely, Hazel. Yes, it really is very, very important. And also, Paul says, CNHC's guidance to registrants in light of the above, current guidance remains in place. Face-to-face consultations and hands-on therapies for the disciplines we register cannot take place until further notice. Those of our registrants who are able to should continue to work remotely. Absolutely, that's exactly what we're saying. So, just a word, a lot of, this is actually quite relevant actually, a lot of people say, why is the Complementary Medical Association not associated or affiliated or a member of the CNHC, the Complementary and Natural Healthcare Council? CNHC is not a governing body as such, it's simply a register of practitioners' names. Now, the problem is, and we know them very well, and I've worked with the people behind the organisation over the years, in fact, so we know intimately what they're doing. The problem with the CNHC is that they don't recognise all disciplines. So our concern, and the reason that we have not registered with them, is because the Complementary Medical Association actually recognises all disciplines. So we are a massive open supporting body. As you know, we're a non-profit organisation run by practitioners for practitioners, and so we are on your team, we're on your side, so to speak. The problem with the register, with having just a register that gives no other support to practitioners other than your name being on a list, is that if not all disciplines are registered with this organisation, let's say they don't recognise homeopathy, it means that a member of the public who believes that to be the ultimate go-to list will look at that, and they'll be going to that list and they'll be seeing that, you know, Mary Jones, homeopath, oh, like, okay, CNHC listing, oh, Mary Jones isn't listed on this register. Oh, she must be a charlatan. It's absolutely not the case. It's the problem is that the CNHC don't recognise that discipline, and there are many other disciplines they don't recognize. So we feel that this actually is problematic for complementary medicine as a whole. This is not to diss CNHC, they do a good job, but there is a concern. We have a huge concern, which is why the CMA distances itself from the CNHC, because we feel very strongly that it muddies the waters, as I say, for complementary medicine. Having said that, though, the CMA is, of course, also is recognized as being the world's leading organization for complementary medicine and natural therapies. So because we are much bigger and have a much more global reach and have been longer established, we do actually feel that we have enough clout for the public to be able to recognize that the CMA is the place to go to find out whether people or courses are properly registered. So that's just a little aside, and it just to answer a question that is sometimes asked. So is there anything else? Because as I say, I don't want to keep you all day. I know that, you know, we are getting burnout with webinars and so on. So Roberta, have you got a point?
Yes, there is a question there from Louise. I don't know if you want to read it, or shall I read it for you? Can you see it on your screen? I'm a birth doula, so I'm doing online courses, that one.
Yes, okay,
Can
thank you.
see
That had shot up my screen.
Yeah.
There are so many questions coming through. So Louise says, I'm a birth doula and I'm doing online courses that are non-medical information, same as what I'd say to clients individually. And so I'm facilitating these courses. I have a little problem in that other professional offering courses are charging £15 for an hour's session when I've spent 3 hours writing mine, researching and checking information. Is there any such thing as chargeable guidance? Wow, great question. This actually is a really good question because it actually applies not just to our profession, but actually to pretty much everything out there. Historically, there was a time when was it the BMJ? I believe it was the BMJ, the British Medical Journal, had a situation where they were recommending that doctors charge £250 an hour for private consultations and services. We are going back quite a few years, okay, so obviously their price has gone up quite a lot since then. But what happened was that the Monopolies Commission came down on the British Medical Journal like a ton of bricks, saying you cannot set pricing guidelines in any profession, because what that does is it removes the ability for other people to compete. There has to be competition, otherwise you get a monopoly situation. So no, the situation is there is no charging guidelines. This goes back to the tutorials that we've already done, and also tutorials within the Janie Goddard Masterclasses private Facebook group. If you're not in there already, do join, because I've got great videos and great worksheets in there for you. And I do actually have a video on how to charge, how to set your fees. And setting fees is all about understanding your value. What is the value that you bring to this person, your ideal client, your avatar? If you can establish the value, and the way that you establish the value is really getting to grips and understanding the value of the transformation that occurs to the client by using your services. Now, those are all really kind of highfalutin magical words. I explain it in depth, and I'm not going to, it's a whole tutorial by itself, setting your fees and charging. If there's enough interest, I will redo it as a live, because I like doing these live sessions, because I think, A, they bring us together as a group, which gives us support and cohesion. And I think it's incredibly useful and supportive and helpful for us to come together like this. I know I value these groups as much as a lot of other people do, because I get great feedback. So yeah, so going back to setting your charges, it's really down to you, and down to you drilling down to the value of what you offer. And if you want to go back to some of the videos that we've done so far, as I say, it's the YouTube group, YouTube channel, Complementary Medical Association YouTube channel, and my Rewind Your Body Clock Facebook group. No, not Rewind Your Body Clock, it's a different group. I've got so many groups. Sorry, Janie Goddard Masterclasses. Actually, Roberta, if you could just type that in for people, then they can literally copy it and paste it into Facebook. Search for it on Facebook and you'll find it. Okay. You need to apply. It's a private group because we discuss business things. So it means that people can see who's in the group, but they can't see what we're discussing because it's private, obviously. Okay, so other questions from Grace. Louise, please charge more. You're the expert. You can charge what you like. You're spending a lot of time doing the work before the session. Please don't assume that people do not have any money to pay or that they won't value your work. I saw a trichologist who was doing 1-hour consultations online for £165, which is the same fee for people who come to in person pre-COVID. Absolutely. I haven't changed my fees for my consultations. I've been running a Skype or Zoom practice, international practice for many, many years. So I've got people from all over the world that I look after. I've not changed my fees because I'm working very much in the same way that I have been working anyway. So there we go. So yes, I hope that helps everybody. Any other questions? Have I missed any other points?
No, I don't.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew. Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew, that's fine.
One little thing that I did was basically, so I can't do any sports massage or injuries at all at the moment. So what I did was on the page, on the Facebook page, I put the price list, but on the price list, I put nutritional advice and any questionnaires you've got about aches and pains at £5 just for an hour. In a half hour, and that £5 will be taken off your treatments when you book in.
Right. Okay, Andrew, thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously to me that sounds rather low. I can understand why you're doing it. I have to say, I've experimented with discounting. I've tried every permutation of fees and charging and so on. And of course, in my position as president of the CMA, which I've been working as president of the CMA since founding the organisation back in 1993. So we've been around for 27 years. I have seen every permutation of charging and fees that there is. And what I tend to find is that the lower your fee, the less your services are valued. When I started off, I offered free consultations, absolute disaster. And that was when I had, a practice, my first, very ambitious, had my first practice at number 10 Harley Street. I got to say, I had big ambitions, and it was great, and it did work. But I started off with doing things like, charging £20 to book, and then refunding it, and so on. Again, it didn't really work. Again, people just basically didn't turn up, and so on. It wasn't until I started charging a proper professional rate that people thought, oh, obviously this is a professional practitioner. This is a force to be reckoned with. I think I want to go and see this person because they obviously know what they're talking about. So I truly think that making sure your fees are professional fees, I think, is incredibly important. Right, okay. Hazel says, I find adding more value rather than discounting works better. Absolutely, yes. If you feel that something is lacking, adding value-added services to your offering is always a good idea. So yeah, I think that's totally legitimate. Discounting, there are people out there who have money, and in my experience, I see it like this. If you are charging a professional rate for your services are valued. It's then entirely up to you whether you then go and volunteer your time at let's say, a woman's refuge as a practitioner, or in Hastings here we have warming up the homeless. So a lot of practitioners in the local area go and provide things like massage, reflexology, and so on to those people who are struggling with homelessness. So if you want to go and donate your time, and that is a wonderful thing to do, and we should all do some sort of voluntary work, I feel, because it's incredibly good for us, and it rewinds your body clock. There's evidence to show that it actually helps us live longer, more healthily, which happens, of course, to be the topic of my latest book, as you all know, Rewind Your Body Clock, little plug there. But putting that all to one side. Right, okay, let's have a little look. Oh, yes.
What I was trying to say was, though, that was just like in a group as a nominal thing, just to get the group all together. That wasn't my prices of sort of like, charging. I charge, all my prices were all there. This was just really in the height of the crisis, because there were people out there that sort of like were pretty despaired. And,
yes, I understand. Yes.
Well, you know what I mean? This was a COVID sort of like £5, and I'll take it off your next treatment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Right, anybody else got any thoughts about that you'd like to chime in regarding charging or anything like that? Because it seems to be a bit of a hot topic. If you'd like to say anything, if you've got any questions, you can unmute yourself. So by all means, please feel free to do that, because it's turning into quite an interactive session, which is really good. So does anybody else have any points they would like to raise at the moment? Or are there any other topics? Can we safely move away from charging? Have we covered everything we need to? I'll give it a moment just to see, and I'll have a quick flick through just to see if anybody. Okay, all right, okay, lovely. So any other questions at all that anybody would like to ask, or are we good? Don't forget that we can, oh, hang on. Is that somebody trying to get through?
I think Hazel maybe is trying to get through.
Oh, fabulous.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Hazel.
Hi, I just wanted to say just a quick thank you for the support, really, and especially with the insurance, because I do, as you know, I do a lot of energy work, and having this challenge, having to pivot and put my courses online rather than do face-to-face is like going to be a massive thing for me. So just want to thank you for scouting out those insurance companies and helping us, because I know there's other amazing practitioners that are also doing similar energy work, and they want to get their courses online, and we just haven't been able to do that. So really fantastic, thank you.
Oh no, you're very, very welcome. It's an absolute pleasure. It's something that has been very much top of our minds, and we scoured and scoured to try to find an organisation that would actually support our members from that insurance perspective. So it's fantastic. And I think the interesting challenge within COVID has been, or the lockdown and so on, has been that we have had to look at our practices and figure out other ways of working. So I think it's engendered a lot of creativity among so many people. But I do think also it's worth saying that there is a little bit of a burnout situation, I think, with a lot of people at the moment, because I think we've all been trying to do so much online and take full advantage of it. So actually, I do think that take it easy. Don't overdo it. Don't burn yourselves out. That's the worst thing, because, your clients need you. Please, if you're going to put your energies anywhere, even if it means skipping one of my wonderful tutorials, how very dare you? But no, seriously, if you feel that I can't do an online tutorial, I can't do another webinar, but what I can do and I can use my energies for is to contact my clients. If that's the way you can direct your energy at the moment, then please do that. That's the most important thing, because it will support you now and it will support you coming out of COVID. Okay, my loves, anything else? Anybody else want to chime in at all?
Yeah, Paul, I think is next in the queue. Paul, yeah.
Hear me? Can you
yes.
hear me? Okay?
Hi, Paul. Yes, I see you. And also, I think Mags is going to say something afterwards as well. Mags will bring you in afterwards. Paul, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. It's just to go back to the insurance thing. I'm with Holistic Insurance. I'm a therapist, hypnotherapy, CBT, all that stuff. On the government guidelines, it says that mental health services are permitted to go back to work. That's on the massage parlour sheet that you referred to. But the CNHC say we can't. I can't get hold of my insurance company. They won't answer any questions or pick up the phone or even answer an email. What do I do?
Okay.
I'll go back to work. Clients, I'm seeing people online, but some of my clients want to see me personally now. The rooms have been all disinfected. The place is all clean and safe, and hand sanitizers in place. What do I do? Do I see them or not?
It's a very good question, isn't it? It's a difficult one. Personally speaking, without the okay from the insurers, are you with Valence?
No, with holistic.
Right. Okay. And you can't get hold of them.
No.
Gosh, what a nightmare. Okay.
Yeah.
What we're finding that our insurers, Balens, are in line with government guidelines, which is on that, you know, the link that we put up in the group just now, that does specifically say that people working in the mental health arena are allowed to resume work.
That's what I picked up on. I thought, okay.
Yes. So I personally would take a time-stamped screenshot of that. Make sure it's time-stamped, because I believe that would protect you should anything untoward happen. And also, if you can, if you've sent emails to your insurers asking them, then I think, again, that is another. Have they not put anything on their homepage at all?
I've got a auto reply, which says absolutely nothing. And also responded, and they're just saying, if you want guidance, look at the government website, basically.
Fair enough.
Or ask your MP. Great.
Okay. Well, in that case, if they have referred you to the government website, can take a time-stamped shot of that. Make sure you keep these really safe, because if the worst should happen, highly unlikely.
I know, it's all unlikely.
Highly unlikely. In 27 years at the CMA, we have, let me just make sure I've got this right, but I believe in 27 years, we've seen 2 malpractice suits, one of which was thrown out and one was upheld. And that was a chap who was doing some very naughty things to ladies.
Right.
And that was obviously not even a practice issue. That was an assault issue.
Well, it's a criminal thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes, that's right. So it wasn't even to do with his practice. It was to do with, external things. But in 27 years, and we've got, and we've looked after tens of thousands of members from all of those different countries. So, what I'm saying is the likelihood, but you just never know. So if you protect yourself by taking date-stamped screenshots and all of that sort of thing, keep it in a file, print it off so that you've got both online and offline resources should you ever need to refer back. But my understanding of what the government guidelines, and they are open to interpretation, is exactly that you should come under the mental health. I believe so. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure. Okay, thanks, Paul. Mags, please go ahead.
Hi, it was actually regarding the distance and remote healing. I had a conversation with Balens, because I'm with Balens, probably before COVID, and it was just a general conversation, and I was asking about the insurance regarding, the remote and distant healing. And one of the things that they pointed out to me, I just remembered it, funnily enough, when I think it was Hazel was talking, my memory was prompted. They said to me that when you're doing your session online, for example, and if it was the person was in a different country, because I was asking about different countries, to make sure that when you'd done your consent form with them, that you made sure that you had an emergency contact number in there. So this is out with COVID, this is just general, that you had an emergency contact number on the form, so that, for example, if following your session you were trying to reconnect with a client and you weren't getting a response, or you felt that something wasn't right, that you would have this number to contact, so that they would be able to go round and visit to make sure that the person was okay. I don't know.
Terrific.
But
sorry, Mags. Yeah, no, that is actually really important. Very useful information, isn't it?
Yes.
It's something actually I think quite a lot of people wouldn't actually think about. But it's a really, really useful piece of information. I think we can all learn from that. Thank you very much, Mags.
That's okay. I kind of, I did think, I don't know how it came up in the conversation, but, I was asking quite a lot about the distance and remote healing, and she very kindly, it was Rachel from Balens that offered that to me, and it stuck in my brain, and I know it's something I'm definitely going to make sure that I always do.
Yes.
now.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. And this is one of the reasons we love Balens. We're not certainly not going to be navigating away from them, is because, you know, they really understand complementary medicine. You know, I don't know if you know, David Balen is a healer himself, practitioner. You know, his sons, you know, it's a family company, a big company now, but, you know, it's a family firm. And, you know, they are all practitioners. So they really actually understand our environment and where we come from. So they're not this great big sort of faceless big insurance entity at all, far from it. So this is one of the reasons why we really love what they do, and the fact that under normal circumstances they're very easy to get hold of and very easy to get answers from, you know, aside from the fact that their underwriters won't insure the online things. So yeah, thank you, Mags, that's really helpful. Brilliant.
And I just want to say one other thing about Balens. Sorry for interrupting you there, Jane. With regards to payment, I've noticed now that they're actually offering people to pay monthly rather than annually as well. So, you know, if people are struggling financially and they're looking for a new insurance, that's one option if they were going to go towards Balens.
It is, absolutely, yes. In fact, I think most of the insurers are pivoting to being monthly, you know, monthly payments rather than annual, which is really good. I think it's a terrific advantage, actually. It really helps cash flow. That's the important thing. So yes, thanks for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, I've got some more questions, so let me just check on the questions. Right, okay. So people seem to find this quite helpful. And yes, you're a newbie. We know you're a newbie. Hello. We're so happy to have you. Right, thank you, Bianca. That's lovely. Ella, Balens would still support practitioners, professional liability and malpractice insurance. What cover applies to virus-related claims? The policy covers you against third-party claims and allegations of negligently causing accidental bodily injury, which includes illness, in the course of your business. The onus will be on the claimant to prove that you were negligent. Any claim will be individually judged by insurers and subject to the full policy terms and conditions. I know, I've seen that as well, Ella, but I really think that we need to caveat that, because the situation is that if you were practicing against government guidelines and were deemed to have infected somebody, I think you could be liable. I think you could be at risk. I think you may find that your coverage, because you've gone against government guidelines, is waived. So I think that possibly Balens need to double check that and bring that up to date, or perhaps reword it, because I know that I saw that was actually put up back in March, because we asked them about this, and we also asked them about taking a practice online. If you were able to give guidance online, or if you were able to teach online, would you still be covered? And the answer is yes. So that was back in March. I think things may have slightly changed. So I would say don't go on that particular statement there in the, that Ella has put in the questions. I think that, and we will raise that with Balens, because I think it needs to be reworded. Thank you. Really good point. Right, okay. Right. Oh, Roberta said her connection failed. Well, that's because you live in the bonny Scotland, in the wilds. Roberta, you're back again. I can hear you.
I'm back again, and there is another question in case you missed it. Sorry,
thank you very much.
Could acupuncturist practice now? I couldn't find it, and that's from Ella Dunbar.
Right, okay, yes, I see it right at the bottom there.
Got it.
Actually, let me just have a quick look on that HSC, I'm sorry, not the HSC thing. I don't know if anybody's got it to hand, have they? I've not got it. I think I've navigated away from it. It might be on my other computer, actually. 1 second. Just bear with me 1 second, because I think I've still got that list still live. Or have I? As usual, I had a gazillion tabs open, and I don't think that I've still necessarily got it open. Does anybody have that list? I think Andrew has it, unless Andrew's gone. There is a list, isn't there, of who is allowed to open up at the moment. Sorry, everybody, let me just double check and see if I can find it. Might well be actually in the Facebook group. Let me look at Jamie Goddard Masterclasses. Right, 1 second. just go in there and see, because I know somebody put a link in the group. Unless, Roberta, could you also simultaneously have a look at it? Because I know that the link was in the CMA newsletter.
Right,
So
okay.
you'll actually find it. You'll actually find the link there for sure, if you're able to put that link there. Right, 1 second. Because the thing is, you know, if they updated that, the thing about the massage parlors, which was so poorly worded and ridiculous, then, you know, chances are they may well be updating things like acupuncturists or what have you. I have a funny feeling that I saw acupuncturists excluded, but don't quote me on that. I think we need to look at the actual data. While we're looking for that, the other thing that I just wanted to cover was that some people contacted us saying that there are certain organizations offering returning to work courses. For 15 quid, you can get a certificate saying that you've done a certificate in returning to work after COVID safely. Personally, I don't think they're worth the paper they're written on. I think it's a bit of a cynical thing to actually try to gouge money out of people at this time. This is, you know, we wouldn't dream of it. I think it's actually quite appalling. So quite honestly, I would say, you know, once we're allowed to return to work, we're allowed to return to work. It's as simple as that. So I don't honestly think that getting a certificate in returning to work is necessarily a good way of spending your time or your money. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. I think it's a little bit of bandwagon jumping and opportunism, really. So I'm not particularly happy about that. Right, okay, let's just see if we can find this very important thing from the government.
I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my internet connection, so
right,
sorry.
Okay.
I am looking.
Don't worry, it's okay. I'm going to just quickly check on my emails and see if we can find this, because I do want to answer this question. If not, I'll tell you what, let's not keep you all waiting. I don't think that's fair. Thanks, Nina. Government website says no to piercing and tattoo parlors. Doesn't mean acupuncture. That doesn't. I'm certain I've seen acupuncture written down though. So tell you what we'll do. We're not going to keep you waiting. Why don't we look and actually find it for you? And then what we'll do, if you go to Janie Goddard masterclasses, if this is relevant for you, then what we'll do is we'll actually put the link in for you and we'll explain what our interpretation is, if any interpretation is necessary, obviously. Okay, so finally, in closing, we've been on for an hour now. I don't want to exhaust you. Any other questions? Any other points? Don't forget, if you suddenly think, oh gosh, I should have asked that in the group, you can also always leave, we'll put a little thread up, you can always leave questions in the group afterwards and we'll answer them, of course we will. Okay, my loves, any other questions? Gone? Okay. All right, thank you so much for joining in. It's been such a pleasure to have you. I cannot thank you enough. It's morale boosting for us all, and I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for being involved. Take care, see you soon, much love, all the best. Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye. Bye.